Hello, welcome back to the channel. So we did tease a little while ago that we would do a kind of will it start video, not ripping off any YouTubers, honest, but we thought this would be quite interesting. So this is our dad's 1986 Mark 1 Toyota MR2 1.6. It's been sat here, as you can see, for quite a while. So it was originally bought probably about 15 years ago now, with an engine knock on its original engine. So we sort of did a bit of tweaking on it, took the bottom end off it, which was scrap, and then it's got its original 1.6 60 valve cylinder head now mated to a Toyota Avensis 1.8 block, which after some Heath Robinson work did fit, and did strangely make it go like a yes, we're also just clearing out, it's been used as a storage shed. So as I was saying, yeah, it sort of had this sort of mating, unusual mating with the cylinder head, which required things like a Porsche 944 from memory cam belt to make it fit. And we just kind of did it because why not? And it did actually make it go like stink and have a very unusual engine note at the end of the day. The fueling wasn't quite right, mapping, so as I remember, it would need and a 10mm spanner. It would need a bigger set of injectors, but anyway, it came off the road because the bodywork departed company. We did sort of look at putting it back on the road ourselves because the bodywork is sort of fixed, but as I remember, there's a hole in one of the subframes. Am I right?
Yes and no. This is very dead.
Yes, but
people think looking at it that it's savable.
Yeah,
it is not.
Although our dad seems to think it is, but we'll leave that for another day.
It's not savable.
Yeah.
People will look at it and go, it doesn't look that bad. Yes, it doesn't on the outside, mainly because the sills are mostly made of plates and filler.
Yes.
And the rear arches are, and these arches are off of a Vauxhall Astra.
Yeah, because you couldn't get repair panels, and it's sort of made.
And they look fine.
Yeah.
But when you start poking down into the bottoms of there and the subframes, and it's got rot around the steering rack.
Yeah.
It is pretty rotten, this thing.
Yeah.
Hence why it's been left.
I mean, we looked at it, didn't we, before we pulled the Supra back on the road.
In 2020 when the lockdowns came.
Yes.
Because we thought about saving this and the Supra at the same time. When we assessed the Supra and the Supra was all right, we assessed this.
Yeah.
And then suddenly went, oh.
Yes.
It kind of died.
It would require, but our dad still thinks he can save it, but that's up to him. So what we thought we'd do is do a sort of will it start video on it, because this hasn't been started in probably 3 years now. So it's been, so as I say, it's been sort of used as a storage shed. Ryan has cleared out some of the crap from it, but as you can see, for those people that like flameless doors, but we sort of have a look inside, and this side of it is still very much used as a storage shed at the moment. The seats in these wear very, very well. It's just got an ever so slight bit there, and its steering wheel sort of discoloured, but at the time it had done 127,000 miles. Obviously it had that engine change, which was a bit of a hillbilly one because the block was off a taxi that had got steps in it, but we managed to recover it somehow, and we could sort of, does the front bonnet open?
It does.
Or the frunk, or whatever you call it these days. Oh yeah, if you're not a fan of arachnids, look away now.
This hasn't been started in probably 4 years.
Yeah, I said 3, but
we moved it here in 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
So this has been sat here probably 4 years.
So is this latched, or is it? I've tried to do this one-hander, by the way. So
let me
see if we can open it. Yeah, so that's, ignore the LPG thing that's in it. As I say, this has been used as a random storage thing, but there's your front, as they call it. Obviously pop-up headlights, and yeah, I think we're, oh, is it? Let's see if we can zoom in.
That's just some of the start of the rest.
Yeah, and that looks sort of minimal compared to what you see underneath, but
it is pretty. It looks all right, but it is mostly dead.
Yeah, you know, like people say, everything is savable depending on how much money and time and effort you want to put into it. But
we did think about reshelling it.
We don't particularly, so we just got to leave it for our dad to find out whether he wants to do that.
rotten.
Yeah, but this one may not see the road again. But I think you paid, was it £127 for it?
£100 or something with a blown up.
And we drove it all the way back from Heathrow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With knackered bottom end shells and it banging its head away. But to give it its due, Toyota didn't brake. Oh, have we got oil?
Yeah, has some oil in it.
So, like, first things we sort of check going through it, obviously, cam belt. If it snaps, it snaps.
Luckily, these are non-interference, so if it did break, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Has it got any? It's got no water in it, but we're not going to run it.
It's got coolant in the actual system, but the radiator's obviously at the front, so it's pretty dry in there. But
we're not going to run it for that long anyway.
But the one thing we need to check is to see if the alternator seized up again.
Yes, because the last time it seized and made a terrible noise. But as you can see, the only problem with these mid-mounted engine cars is you have this to lean over and work on it. So they are not the best. Because I think when we did the block, did it come out from underneath? We had it up in the air and we lowered it. But yeah, as you can see, it's 1.6, so it runs the TVIS, which is a precursor to VVTi, so it's Toyota Variable Intake System, I think. But as you can see, yeah, there is plenty of arachnids. Ooh, look over there. Plenty of arachnidery.
This hasn't genuinely been touched in about 4 years because we moved it here and then just left it.
Yes, because we went, yeah, too much work. And believe it or not, I mean, you've seen the state the Supra's in at the minute, but believe it or not, that's a better bet.
It is, actually.
But these things are actually going up in value just it being sat here. Yeah. You can pull them out of a hedge and it's £1,000 car on eBay.
I mean, this car's got certain good things going for it. The front wings are actually in very good.
Yeah.
From that one that seems to have recently disintegrated.
Yeah.
The bonnet's good, the doors are good, the interior's fairly decent.
And it's got 20 or 30-year-old tyres on it that still actually hold air.
Yeah, the front ones, I think, they still made...
Tigers, were they?
No, they weren't. They were Rosavas, but I think they're from
pre-Czech Republic. Ukrainian, there you go.
They're fantastic tyres.
Yeah.
They've been on it for about 20
No,
years.
unlike the horrendous Nankangs that I've got on the Corrado that certainly have not been on there 20 years, there is no cracking on those. So, yeah, basically, we're just going to go through some checks, have a look to see if the alternator is free. This hideous air filter wasn't us, by the way. This was a previous owner, and we just kind of left it there. It should have piping that goes from here and then runs down here into there and then goes out the vents at the side. But yeah, we just thought we'd do it as a bit of a sort of will it start. So Ryan's just gone off to get something to poke the alternator with. We've checked it's got oil in it. So the next thing we're literally going to do is stick a battery on it. I'm not even sure if it's got any fuel in it. And we'll see if it cranks. So join us in a few seconds when we get the pokey device.
We'll see what it's like.
Right, so you're back with us. So I don't know, I'll probably not be able to because there's not enough room to get your hands down in here, let alone anything else. So I'll try and zoom, but you might not see anything.
It's not stuck.
But it's not stuck, it is moving the alternator. That was the only issue we had last time. And then we basically sprayed a load of penetrating oil and it gave it a bang and it worked. And it actually charged the battery, believe it or not. So now we should grab some electrons and then join us again.
What I'll do is
Right, so, sorry for all the different ways, but I'm now going to hold my breath and sit in here and show you that we have ignition lights that come on.
Just don't crank it.
Okay, so we'll turn those off. So we're just going to, what we'll try to do first is look to pull out the EFI fuse. Sorry if I'm making you sick. Just so we can get some oil pressure up, so we don't try and knacker the poor thing.
Right, that's the EFI fuse out.
Right, okay. So, shall we go for a crank?
See what happens.
So, I shall stay this side while Ryan goes for a crank. Now, things will either go up in smoke or it'll crank. Hey, look at that, the electric windows work, look.
80s Toyotas.
80s Toyotas for you. So,
Well, it seems to think it's already up to temperature. So that's
interesting. Yes, that battery is the rubbish one. Let us find another one.
yes,
Right, so we now have more electrons. Let's see.
No.
Ah, Okay, we don't have more electrons. Try a third battery.
Try that one.
Right, we're now back with third battery.
See if this one's any better.
So we'll see if this one goes for a crank. There you go. So my shaking, I'm leaning on the car. So we're just getting up oil pressure, if you can hear me over the noise of the cranking. We'll go around. Is it oil light going out?
It doesn't actually have an oil light, it has an oil pressure gauge, and this thing never had a lot of oil pressure anyway.
Ah, okay. We'll just come in.
It's got something.
So there's something in there.
This engine doesn't have a lot of oil pressure left.
This engine was on its last legs. Well, the bottom end was.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, it ran. There is another bottom end for it that we do have off another Avensis.
That's the EFI fuse back in.
So we'll go for a start and see if it blows up, doesn't start. Who knows what will happen? Will it be a Toyota? Yeah, just in case it's stuck. Yeah. Here we go. Could be out of fuel, we don't know.
Very well be out of fuel. The fuel pump has finally packed up after all these years. We may be out of fuel.
I've just unstuck it, it was stuck, the throttle. Right, so what we're going to do is spray some goo-goo juice in just a minute into the intake. Right, go ahead and fire. Hey! Oh, A cylinder. It did want to run. It's getting there.
Are you spraying at the same time?
Yes. I'm not now, just a minute.
So it will run.
So it does run with some of the brake cleaner down its nozzle.
Where's its fuel tank then? We'll stick some...
So we have a little bit of fuel that we're going to stick into it. So yeah, we'll stick that in and join us in a second.
Right, I've just put the intake back on so that it probably...
Right, so we have put some petroleum in it now, so we'll see if it'll go now without the aid of go-go juice. Oh.
I think I'm still running on thing.
Okay. You see the unique throttle cable arrangement as well. I wonder if the fuel pump has gone.
The fuel pump fuel injection.
So we're just checking the fuses, but we suspect
I think the fuel pump may have finally
gone, but I suppose we could get it going just a little bit longer by squirting this in it, if not.
I think that's the way we'll have to do it.
Yeah.
If you go in that way, then you can play the gauge.
Right.
And you don't necessarily need to touch the throttle.
Okay. Sorry to make you sick, but down and in. Oh, hold my breath. So we're doing the cursory bang. Apologies for fingers. Tell me when.
Yeah, go for it.
Right. So we're going to try spraying at the same time. And there you go. It's part of my shaky hands. So it's running on the just the brake cleaner at the minute. But as you can see, it's actually got quite good oil pressure. Ignore the temperature gauge. But yeah, she's a running. So apart from what we think may be a dead fuel pump, will a Toyota run that's been sat for 3 years? Yes. Surprising question, maybe not. And it actually seems quite happy, but we suspect, yeah, the fuel pump has finally died. But actually, let's just see something here. And I believe if we go around the front, the pop-up headlights do still work. Look at that. There you go. Look at that, folks. Even both the lights are still on, although one's slightly dimmer than the other. But yeah, sorry, apart from my shaky hands, but yeah, flip them down. There you go. So there you go. Can a Toyota MR2 Mark 1 be started that's been sat for 4 years and in iffy condition? Yes, it can. So yeah, we're probably not going to get a fuel pump for it to get it going longer, because we're not going to spend any money on it. But proof of concept, it does actually work and start and run, and actually not too much smoke out of it. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed. Do like and subscribe, and see you again soon.